Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, and today I wanted to review a hand posted in the Red Chip Poker forums that I thought was pretty interesting. This was posted by ScottVal, who's playing in a live 1-3 game. There's an open 217 from early position. This is a guy who seems pretty tight. He's been using this size all day, so it's definitely the standard for him, and Hero recognizes him as being kind of a reg in this card room, or at least appears to be, and earlier in the session, this is a very important piece of information in my opinion. Hero noted that this particular villain isolated a limper with 5-4 offsuit. Now the reason why I think that's really important is because this seems to be someone who, even though Hero thinks he's tight, doesn't seem to just use nitty ranges, right? Isolating a limper with 5-4 offsuit is pretty weak, and because of that I'd say that his ranges may not just be super nitty. So in this situation, we have ace-king in middle position, this guy opens to 17 from early position, and Hero decides to call. And I think this is the really important point of the hand, and I think it went very overlooked here. So in my opinion, I'm typically going to consider 3-betting this. And when I 3-bet it, it's one of those where against this particular player, when I'm 3-betting, it's kind of more of a semi-bluff. It has a lot of equity in the event that I get action, but ultimately it's more of a semi-bluff because I'm rarely going to get action from second best hands or hands that I really dominate, right? If I 3-bet and he has ace-queen or king-queen, I typically assume that someone like this is probably going to fold. Which means, if I assume that he's not just opening here with like 8s plus ace-king, that he's probably going to be folding a decent amount of hands. Things like ace-queen, king-queen, pocket 4s, all that kind of stuff. And I'm okay if he folds 2/3 or more of his range, and I think he's probably going to a large chunk of the time. One of the things I don't really want to do is call here, and now there's like 5 or 6 people left behind me that can do whatever the heck they want to do, and it puts me in a really uncomfortable spot while allowing him to control action. Another thing to keep in mind is, if you're not 3-betting ace-king, what's your 3-bet range here? So if there's that kind of dynamic between you and this opponent, you definitely need to keep that in mind. So in this situation, Hero decides to call. Again, I think 3-betting is very valid here. I would just 3-bet here something like $45 and go from there. If he 4-bets, I'm probably going to give him a decent amount of respect on the first time. I don't assume the average live player is going to be doing much bluff 4-betting, which means I'm assuming that's probably going to be very value-sided, and obviously that's going to probably cripple my ace-king. So keep that in mind, to say the least. In this exact spot, Hero decides to call, gets a couple callers behind him. That's obviously one of those things that's then very quickly going to change the SPR going forward and puts us kind of in uncomfortable land, which is definitely something to consider. Flop is king, queen, 5 rainbow. Villain bets for 40, Hero calls. I would call here as well if I ever played it like this pre-flop. But on the turn, which is essentially a brick 3, puts up a backdoor flush draw, but whatever, Hero calls a $90 bet. And I really want to make my decision right there on the turn. Now my issue is we have a villain who raised from early position, continuation bet in a 4-way pot, and then decides to double barrel on a brick. So I don't think he has jacks, I don't think he has 10s, I don't think he opens jack 10 suited from under the gun every single time or early position very often. So I think primarily his range is going to be the chopper with ace-king, set of kings, aces, set of queens, king-queen suited, and that's it. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of bluffs in there. And the issue is that against that range, we're crushed. Absolutely crushed. So I would just wrap it up on the turn and fold. I don't see any reason to call. I don't think that really does anything. I don't think we're ever ahead. I don't think we're getting proper odds on it. Ultimately, I would just get away from the hand right there. So again, the big important inflection points pre-flop, whether we 3-bet it or call it, I typically am going to 3-bet there. And then if we do decide to call, definitely making that decision on the turn. The flop, yeah, whatever, we're going to call that one. But on the turn, his turn double barrel range here just doesn't include enough bluffs for us to justify calling here and giving action in any way. So Scott, hopefully this kind of answers your question and helps you the next time you find yourself in a similar situation. And if you or anyone else has a poker-related hand or question, feel free to pop it over in the forums or take a look at it as soon as we can. And definitely make sure to check out the Pro membership if you don't already have one. And if you aren't a member of Red Chip already, we do offer a free membership as well. So definitely make sure to check that out. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, good luck out there and happy grinding.